and welcome back to the show. I hope that by now you have subscribed to this channel and are enjoying yourselves. We today go to Melbourne, Australia to meet Anoushka Gungadin. She's a Mauritian national, but is located there and is today the CEO of GlobalCQ, a company that is involved in cultural intelligence. But she's also quite involved in helping women entrepreneurs and leaders in their own professional lives. So let's listen to how she is living through this whole pandemic and her views. So Anoushka, thank you for being here today. It's a great pleasure to have you on the channel.
My pleasure to be here with you, Roshan.
So Anoushka, you are based in Australia and you are the founder of GlobalCQ, which is a company known for cultural intelligence. And we'll get back to that later. But you're also the CEO of Australia India Chamber, and you work as a mentor with a lot of C-suite people in Australia. How do you see things right now panning out after this whole pandemic? And what are the issues that entrepreneurs and people are facing right now?
Yeah, look, I think we are all dealing with a whole lot of uncertainty. We have never really been prepared for this time. I don't think there is any MBA in the world that really gives us a blueprint, and that's across every level of leadership, be it government or business. So what we're seeing is time for people to, I think, try their best to deal with this time. And in that, it means really going back to core and what is really, really important for people. We've heard the whole VUCA, the volatile, uncertain, chaotic, ambiguous world. So I think if there was ever a time, now we're dealing with that. And we have never been prepared.
And you talk about the fact that people are getting back to the core. And a lot has been said lately with the whole pandemic that, we need to go back to the source and we have been drifting away. Do you think that this is here to stay, or was it just a fad during the pandemic?
I think it's here to stay. I think we will not go back to the way we have been. When you look at businesses and you look at stakeholder value that we have been building, we focus on one primary stakeholder, that's being shareholder, hence driven by profit. But now as consumer, we want to make sure when we're buying something, we look at where it's been built. We look at the cost of course, and how much, value we believe we're getting out of that. But we also want to make sure that no kid has been exploited in that process of us getting the product. So now when we look at a business and beyond profit, there is a big call from our stakeholders, be it employees, be it consumers, to also look at purpose, to look at the planet, to look at the people.
Right, and purpose is very interesting because I personally work a lot with purpose. And one of the things that I've noticed lately is a lot of the leaders are talking about compassion. Do you see this a lot even on that side of the world in Australia?
Yes, I think, there's compassion, there's empathy, but I probably want to also talk about one part which is not talked about enough, is about the leaders themselves. It's not easy when you have to get rid of 30, 40, 50% of your staff. It's not easy to have to lay off people or even not know. And, we're going week by week. Every week is changing. Every week we're making a new decision. What about the leaders themselves? They are heartbroken. They are human beings as well. And they do not have a blueprint on how to deal with it.
Right. And you work with a lot of women, and there has been a lot of talk when we look at international politics that the countries led by women have been managing this whole pandemic better. And there has been some talk about the fact that they are able to manage better uncertainty and manage themselves and the vulnerabilities. What are your thoughts about women in leadership in these times of uncertainty?
So for me, Roshan, it's less about women, it's more around feminine leadership. And those skills we both have. Men and women have masculine and feminine leadership style and qualities. However, the whole world up to now is really being celebrated on wins and achievement, which is more in the masculine style. So what we see today is the ability of being able to bring people together, bring community together, be okay not to know, So those are the feminine qualities. And, of course, women are naturally more prone to have those. It's expected of women. Hence, I believe the women who are leading today are being able to be more empathetic, bring people together, build a community, and get more of us to collaborate to get to a solution. And we okay to say we don't know the answer, while the male leaders in this world have been taught to know the answer, to keep going, and like we've been on a rat race, and
right.
Now we can't lead in that same way.
Yeah, and that vulnerabilities and letting your egos down to accept things that you don't know and want to know what you don't know is certainly something which is going to help get out of it. How are you personally helping these leaders get to cross that, the know what you don't know part?
Well, the what we don't know part is really 80%, if not more, at this stage. I don't think anyone anywhere in the world, even if we have the lowest number of coronavirus patient and we're recovering, really knows the answer. So I think today, all of a sudden, it's made it okay for us not to know the answer. It's made it okay for us to lose clients. It's made it okay for us to say, business is actually not good. So because we're all sharing that. And that kind of brings me to the core of us being human. It's around belonging. It's that connectedness. When we look at the hierarchy of needs, according to Maslow, it's number 3. But the latest in neuroscience tell us connectedness, sense of belonging is actually our very first need. So I think this is really a time when you can see anywhere in the world, communities coming together is our way out.
And maybe on communities getting together, how do you see leaders able to pool together, to collaborate better going forward? What other opportunities do you see for leaders to collaborate post this pandemic?
Yeah, look, collaboration is a very important way in which we're going to be working more and more, talking about future of work. And that's where the feminine style of leadership becomes really important. When we look at building value for a stakeholder, you want someone to come to you and you're able to give them every part and solve their problem. However, you can't be the best at each and every part of their problem. So you will work in collaboration with the expert that aligns in terms of values to your organization, the similar kind of, the way you treat your customers, the way you source your product. So brand alignment, values alignment, and you can create a whole product. So I think there probably will be more and more opportunities for us to do that, because today we know we can all work virtually. Some of these limitations we have had for such a long time working in the industrial age, in 2 weeks, we've all moved into the digital age.
Great. And maybe last question is, now that boundaries are down, now that limitations are down, what advice would you give to leaders for them to seize the day?
I would say bring people at the forefront of your strategy. Behind any computer, 2 transactions being done online, there are 2 people. The companies that embrace and see people as their channel, as their micro brands within the company, and use that to engage with the customers, the stakeholders, are going to be the companies that will, make it on the other side faster and louder. So people.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting and really putting the right focus where it has to be on people. So Anoushka, thank you very much. It's been very refreshing to hear this very different way of looking at things and the feminine energy getting into business. And finally, the people, because we ourselves, we are a big believer of the edge-to-edge connections, the human-to-human connections. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Bye.
This was really interesting to see a very different perspective of things. A perspective of the feminine energy, also the cultural dimensions that we're talking about, but more interestingly was the fact that it's all about people, the human-to-human connection, and as you know, this is very much our core values at LinearArc Solutions. Until the next interview, keep safe.